to this, but we'll see. Hold it out. Okay. This is we're live, so let's see if it'll let me switch.
If you can give us one, if we can give one
like
more
60
minute.
more seconds. I'm so sorry.
The cameras can't see you.
Thanks, Dave. Sorry, it is just reconnecting to.
All right. Thank you, everyone. But I want you to be
Hope we can get our live. Okay, we'll just do it from the. We'll just do it from the laptop. Yep. I guess I'll just hold it this way.
Only 10:02. That would be a remarkably on-time press conference.
And then you can hear.
Tell me if it's.
Do you want my head?
David,
Yeah.
some pictures.
Go ahead.
Is that good?
That's perfect. Just stay there. Yeah, we can do this. It's not that long. The only thing is, can they get the audio?
I guess. Do you want to see if you can, view it from your laptop and see if the audio is good?
We have 4 survivors and Carmen Balber, Executive Director of Consumer Watchdog, and myself. So I think about 6 people. Are we ready to go, Sarah?
Are you good?
So. Yeah.
Okay, we're all set. Should we go? Okay.
Yes, okay.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. We'll start again. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. Exactly 100 days ago this morning, the Eaton fire was burning out of control across Altadena. The homes of every single person here on this stage was damaged or destroyed. I know that none of us can ever unsee the images of Altadena on fire. But what the world does not know is that for many longtime Eaton Fire's policyholders, the fire was just the start of their trauma. Every day since, their financial and emotional devastation has only grown because of State Farm's actions. Now, people assume that if you pay your premiums, your insurer will stand by you when disaster strikes. But State Farm has consistently delayed and denied claims, forcing families to deplete savings, max out credit cards, and turn to GoFundMe just to make it month to month. And now, while families remain displaced and desperate, State Farm is asking for a 17% rate hike. And even worse, California Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara is set to approve it. And now, while families today, Eaton Fire survivors, loyal State Farm customers for years or decades, are calling on Commissioner Lara to reject that rate hike until State Farm covers the claims of the families it insures. Last week, Commissioner Lara held 3 full days of public hearings on the rate hike, but he shut out public comment. That's why we're here today, to deliver public comment from the families most impacted. The Eaton Fire Survivors Network is a grassroots community of over 1,700 displaced survivors. We meet on Discord, where we have over 40 moderated channels, and we have a separate channel for each insurance carrier. That's how we discovered that different insurance companies are treating their policyholders very differently. So, for example, my family is with USAA, which has been responsive and responsible. Within days of the fire, they assigned an adjuster and sent in remediation crews. They paid over $100,000 to clean up the toxins. When our independent hygienists still found contamination, they sent crews back and paid for more testing. Just yesterday, we got the all clear to move back in. That's not special treatment. That's just what we paid for. But my fellow survivors at State Farm have had a drastically different experience. And today we're here to tell their stories. Here's what's ahead. We have 8 State Farm policyholders here. 4 will speak. All 8 are available afterward for on-the-record interviews. Next, I'll read a statement from a retired executive with over 40 years of insurance industry experience. He will remain off the record due to fear of retaliation, but he is here for background interviews. Then we'll hear from Carmen Valber, Executive Director of Consumer Watchdog, who will share what happened behind closed doors last week in Oakland. And finally, I'll return with closing remarks and our formal thanks to Commissioner Lara. Now, let's hear from our survivors. First up, we have Wendy Davis, a 35-year State Farm customer.
Can you give this to her?
Morning. The disaster began with the Eaton fire, but for us, the real trauma began when we filed a smoke damage claim with State Farm. For more than 3 months, State Farm has delayed, stonewalled, and denied us the help that we're entitled to. They've made us chase adjusters who disappear after a few hours. They've left our calls and emails unanswered. And when we finally talk with one of our numerous adjusters, he admits he has 0 experience with fire or smoke damage. Other adjusters don't seem to have any knowledge of California law or what our policy actually says. No one investigates the condition of our home. Our pleas, questions, and assertions just go into the black hole that is State Farm. The black hole where our hope goes to die. Our house is full of ash, smoke, and soot. And in that ash and soot are dangerous levels of asbestos, a dangerous known carcinogen. Although our house is still standing, it's currently uninhabitable and unsafe for us to occupy. But State Farm says they only cover ash and soot from fire or smoke, not contaminants or pollutants, so they won't pay all that we are owed under our policy. Does it make sense to anyone that State Farm covers the ash and soot that blew into our home during the fire, but not the contaminants contained within that ash and soot? State Farm gave us a ridiculously low-ball offer to clean our home. They sent us a document valuing our entire personal property loss at just $11,000. State Farm knew that that was only 13% of the actual estimated cost that we got from our contractor. $11,000 to clean the contents of a 5-bedroom home that's contaminated with asbestos, a hazardous material. Are we supposed to scrub the asbestos out by ourselves, wearing hazmat suits and respirators? And what about the personal property that, by law, is a total loss because of that asbestos contamination? It'd be laughable if it weren't so cruel. We've been loyal State Farm customers for 35 years. We have paid every premium on time. But now, when we need State Farm to honor their promises to us, when our home is uninhabitable and our lives are on hold, when we're maxing out our credit cards and going further into debt, State Farm chooses to play games and deny us the recovery our insurance policy guarantees us. State Farm hasn't just delayed and denied our full recovery, they've made our suffering worse day by day. We disaster victims deserve better. State Farm needs to be made to do better for the fire victims. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wendy. Next, we'll hear from Kelsey Zett, a mother of 2.
Hi, good morning. My name is Kelsey Zett, Kelsey Szammet, and I'm a mother of 2 young daughters and a lifelong Altadenan. My husband and I have been loyal State Farm customers for nearly 15 years. When the Eaton fire swept through our neighborhood on January 7th, we evacuated not knowing if we would ever come back. By some miracle, my husband and a few neighbors were able to save our home directly in the middle of the burn zone. We felt lucky, but that relief did not last. In the 100 days since the fire, our State Farm adjuster has never once set foot inside our home. Not once. State Farm has made decisions about our safety, our children's future, and our claim without seeing the damage to our home. When we asked them to test for contamination, they refused. So we paid over $10,000 out of pocket to bring in licensed experts. Of course, the results came back with toxic ash, high lead, arsenic, chromium, and other risks that no child should ever be exposed to. So we've now spent $119,000 to cover housing, replace essentials, and test our home for safety. Much of it is on credit cards. State Farm has only reimbursed us $54,000 to date. Some of these expenses were approved weeks ago, and many have yet to be paid. These aren't just unacceptable delays, but they are destabilizing financially. State Farm has told us it's fine for our 2 young daughters to sleep on beds contaminated with lead, even though there is no EPA-approved method for cleaning soft goods exposed to lead. They've told us to keep using a refrigerator filled with bacteria from rotting food, now 100 days old, so long as it's been wiped down. This isn't just frustrating, it's extremely dangerous. We want to move back into our home, but our home remains untouched, it's unclean, it's unsafe. We're not asking for upgrades here. We are asking to be returned to the home that we knew on January 6th. We want the basic protections our policy was supposed to provide us. And we are not alone. Many of these families and thousands more in Altadena are still displaced, bouncing from hotels to Airbnbs, dealing with the same stonewalling from State Farm. We all just want our children and family members to be able to come home to a place that will not make them sick. We are asking State Farm to do what they promised to do, to help make our homes livable again. It's not asking for too much, it's asking for the bare minimum. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Kelsey. Next, we'll hear from Sarissa Henderson of 4th Generation Altadena.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sarissa. I've lived in Altadena for most of my 47 years. My sister and I are 4th generation. Our great-grandparents moved to Altadena after the 210 freeway was being built and their house was torn down. Every home our family had lived in from 1968 to 2025 have all burned down. That's about 7 different properties. In 2000, my sister and I moved into our last home with our grandmother. We lived there for nearly 25 years. Our Nana passed away in that very house 3 years ago. Then the fire took everything. After paying State Farm for years, and might I add, I'm still paying them as a renter. When I didn't pay on the 1st of February, I got a notice and a call on the 3rd asking did I forget to make a payment. We've never filed a single claim or anything. They gave me and are giving me the worst time over a $16,000 rental policy. We've been to 7 different places since the fire, mainly due to what State Farm is doing. They refused to pay for contents, although every single thing was burned down. They only paid contents out when the commissioner did a press conference saying everybody is supposed to get 30 or 50%. They made up rules in the policy. I keep asking for things in writing. They can't show me anything. I've been advised that if I sign a lease for 1 or 3 months, I will lose my whole entire loss of use. Where in California can you go somewhere where you don't have to sign a lease, which is Airbnbs? They told me to stick with that. I fought them on that. So now, okay, maybe we'll give you 1 to 4 months. And if you sign a lease, we'll still try to cover you. But you should still be able to find housing in 3 months. Ideally, that's great. But I'm against 20,000 other people that are displaced. And I have a $16,000 renter policy, and other people have more. So it's a competition that way, too. Let's see. They only approve 3 months at a time. And when you tell them, okay, I got an Airbnb for 3 months, it's $12,000 to cover part of it. when you send in the receipts, they don't like the way the receipt looks. So you don't get, what you should get. After 4 months, they have paid just a little over $8,000 for loss of use, but I've had to fight for that. I've been out of pocket for one day. I had to spend $8,100 to the point where my bank thought it was fraud. So I couldn't continue using that card. I had to then go to another one of my banks and do it that way because $8,100 in one day looks like fraud. Let's see. I have lupus. If anyone knows what that is, it's an autoimmune disease where your body attacks itself. Stress causes a flare. A flare can make me end up in the hospital. And I'm not near Huntington Hospital right now, which is my hospital of choice. Every single time I'm on the phone with State Farm, I feel like I'm getting a flare because I feel like I'm getting nowhere. I have been on the phone with State Farm no less than 50 times since the fire. I've shown up here multiple times. I went to community events where insurance people were there to discuss, and still no real help. The house burning down was traumatic. I think everyone can understand that. But what State Farm is doing to me and my sister, it's horrible. It's horrible. We just want the help we need. We shouldn't have to fight this hard for what we're owed. I am wearing the outfit I evacuated in, down to my grandmother's necklace and my favorite earrings. This is what I brought from my house because I thought I was going to go back there. After the fire, you realize, oh, this is all I own after 25 years. You realize your $16,000 lupus medicine burned up in the fire. That's what you should be worried about. But after that, this is what you're worried about. You're worried about State Farm doing what they're supposed to. So in conclusion, I think all of us just want State Farm to be a good neighbor. And we want State Farm to be there since that is their tagline. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarissa. Such powerful words. Finally, we have Shauna Dawson Beer, who's founder of the 10,000 member Beautiful Altadena Facebook group.
Hi everyone, and I have fire brain and age, so I'll be putting on my glasses and reading from my personal teleprompter this morning. As Joy mentioned, I'm the organizer of a group called Beautiful Altadena, a decade-old neighborhood group of more than 10,000 residents. And I'm also a lifelong State Farm customer, like many of the people you've heard from this morning. I've actually had a State Farm policy since my grandparents got me my first one when I was 15, and that was a very long time ago. That said, I never imagined that we would be in this position or that I would be standing here having to do this today. Our home was a total loss in the Eaton fire, but what we are dealing with now is, if you can imagine, even worse. We and our neighbors have all been pushed to the brink. We created a separate support group in our community specifically for residents who had issues with their State Farm Eaton fire claims. That group grew to almost 350 people overnight. That alone tells you there is a problem, and will tell you something. Since the fire, as others have spoken about, our claim has been bounced and reassigned to 5 different adjusters. I just got my 5th on Monday. Every time we have to start over. We have to re-explain everything. We have to resubmit documents. We have to renegotiate, and we have to relive our loss. All of this costs time that no one has. The fallout of a fire like this, no one ever tells you this, and you would never think about it. It is a full-time job. And this is for people who already have full-time jobs, who have families, who have kids, who have lives that they are trying to hold together after this trauma. Our neighbors with children and homes still standing, if you can believe it, as you've heard today, have it even worse than I do, with a home and my entire life being entirely gone. Insurers like State Farm are trying to force them back into unsafe, lead-contaminated structures in the midst of a cleanup. That's right. In the midst of a cleanup of a historic environmental disaster site comparable only to ground zero after 9/11. And if you talk to any of the scientists in our community and at Caltech, at the Coalition for Clean Air, and everyone else doing work on this, it is actually worse than ground zero. These are not livable conditions, or are they future health risks that anyone that should have to be exposed to? No one should have to make the decision between their family's health and safety or financial ruin, most especially not after losing everything. We have people in our community, in our groups, asking about why they're having headaches all the time, why they're having coughs, why they're coughing up blood, why their children are having bloody noses. And this is what our insurers, including State Farm, think is acceptable for us to go home to. The fact that our Department of Insurance is even considering a rate hike when State Farm has yet to show good faith to all of its claimants who have, as you've heard today, been paying our premiums faithfully and provide them the benefits that we pay for and are entitled to, speaks to a special type of corruption at every level and a system that does not serve anyone other than State Farm and those who are clearly profiting off of our loss. Altadena is a community in limbo. We are doing everything we can to move forward, but we are all living in purgatory. We are watching our community hang in the balance, not knowing if we will be able to rebuild, to return, to recover. For myself personally, as I've heard other people's very personal stories, I have a husband at home who is managing stage 4 cancer. That my husband also, in trying to evacuate without an evacuation warning, which is another conversation for another day, but that happened, was moving a number of heavy things he should have never been touching and actually fractured his L4 vertebrae and will be going in for surgery tomorrow at 5 a.m. He had a bad reaction to a pain medication. We spent an ambulance ride and a weekend in the hospital around that. Beyond that, I also have a full-time job. I have a career that I have spent decades to achieve, and to needless to say is compromised by the fact that I'm not only dealing with what I am now, but that I have to be here doing this because of this. So I will just say that the fire took our homes, and State Farm's delays and denials are threatening now to take our future, and that everyone should expect that Altadena will not be silenced. We will continue to speak up for our neighbors, for ourselves, for our community, and we will not go quietly. Shauna Dawson, fear. Fear as in BWR. Thank you.
Thank you, Shauna. Such powerful 4 accounts from our survivors. All of their names are spelled in the press release, and so if you don't have one, please find them from us later.
Can you take over for a minute?
But these stories that you've heard today are just the beginning. In the past week alone, more than 330 people have signed our public letter and shared their State Farm experiences at efsurvivors.net. From their stories and from those of the survivors here today, 5 patterns have emerged. Number 1, betrayal of loyalty. Families with decades of on-time payments now feel abandoned by State Farm just when they need them. Number 2, systemic stonewalling. Endless paperwork, vague denials, and silence seemingly designed to wear people down. 3, toxic homes, inadequate remediation. Many homes tested positive for toxins, but State Farm offers just a fraction of the funds needed for cleanup. 4, financial devastation. Families are racking up credit card debt while State Farm stalls. And 5, a crushing emotional toll. Anxiety, panic attacks, sleepless nights. This is not just about property. This is about human lives. I urge you to visit sfsurvivors.net and read these hundreds of testimonials for yourself. This is not isolated. This is systemic, and it is unacceptable. Now I'll share a statement from a retired insurance executive. Having been in the insurance business for over 40 years, I am deeply disappointed by the inadequate and unresponsive service provided by State Farm to the victims of the Eaton fire. My wife and I, like many others, have faced delays, denials, and a lack of compassion. Despite clear evidence of damage, many policyholders have waited weeks or months without basic follow-up. The promises made in State Farm's ads do not match their actions. This is more than a failure of service. It's a failure of ethics. State Farm must do better. Communities cannot heal when insurers fail to act. These are powerful words from someone who spent a lifetime in the industry and felt compelled to speak despite the risks. Now I'll turn it over to Carmen Balber, Executive Director of Consumer Watchdog, for an update on last week's closed-door hearings.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carmen Balber. I'm the Executive Director of Consumer Watchdog. Speak up. That's CARMENBALBER. And I've been asked to come here today because we were in the room in the middle of the State Farm rate hike hearing. Our organization has fought for insurance consumers for the last 40 years in California, and our founder wrote the ballot initiative, Proposition 103, that regulates home and auto insurance rates in California. That ballot initiative contained the only provision that allowed for public participation in the State Farm rate hearing. And that was the ability for organizations like ours to hire an attorney, an actuary, experts to go in and go head to head with the insurance companies, and unfortunately in this case with the insurance commissioner too. So we were in the room in that State Farm hearing, and I'm just here to give you some numbers. The first number is that State Farm even admits that they have the money to pay their claims from the Eaton fire. The rate hike request is not about making the people behind me whole. They just want to pad their bank accounts. Number two, State Farm last year got a $500 million rate hike on homeowners. And just a few weeks after that, they canceled tens of thousands of policyholders across the state. Number three, State Farm's parent company in Illinois, State Farm Mutual, who many of these people probably has a $144 billion surplus in the bank. That company has stepped in when home insurance subsidiaries have been in trouble in the past. They should be stepping in to back up their state subsidiary if it is in trouble because of its own actions. Number five, California policyholders have sent billions of dollars out of state to that parent company. That's one of the reasons why the parent company should be stepping in. And then, of course, in February, State Farm came and asked for a nearly $1 billion, what they called emergency rate hike from the insurance commissioner. The State Department of Insurance staff was about to approve that. They were about to give State Farm the go-ahead. Consumer Watchdog said the company has not justified, under California law, that rate increase. That's why we had the hearing before an administrative law judge at the Department of Insurance last week in Oakland. That lasted for 3 days, and a few facts became very clear. Number one, there's a basic standard in the law that an insurance company would have to follow in order to get a rate hike now and prove it up later. It's usually the reverse. Insurance companies have to justify what they want to charge, and then they can raise increases. But State Farm said this is an extraordinary situation. We need the money now. We'll show you we need it later. But these homeowners are not State Farm's ATM. They're not shareholders of the insurance company. They're not there to bail out the company. It's exactly the reverse. State Farm is supposed to be here for them in the case of a crisis like this. And so the one thing that became very clear is that the Department of Insurance didn't do what's called an actuarial analysis. They didn't crunch State Farm's numbers and reasonably come up with the amount of the rate hike. Their expert testified under oath that they got the number from the department's lawyers, and the department's lawyers negotiated that number with State Farm. Consumer Watchdog's actuary is the only one who did the math, and the math says that the rate hike is not justified, which is why we argued that the judge should reject it. Now, Commissioner Lada already showed his hand, said he was provisionally approving the rate hike subject to this hearing. He showed his inclination, but the evidence was very clear, which is why we are hoping the judge follows the law, not the pressure State Farm is trying to bring to bear, and rejects this rate hike. And I'll leave it at that and just be available for questions afterwards. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Carmen. Before we close, I want to be clear about what we are asking. We call on Commissioner Lara to do 3 things. Number 1, launch a formal investigation into State Farm's handling of Eaton Fire and Palisades Fire claims. Number 2, expedite all unresolved claims and pay them out with interest. And number 3, deny this 17% rate hike until State Farm shows it will fulfill its obligations to California families. The number one factor in whether Altadena recovers is access to our insurance payouts. State Farm is the largest insurer in California and the country. So when they deny claims at this scale, they distort the entire market. Our government should not reward corporate misbehaviors with a raise. And if you pay insurance premiums, this impacts you as well. Please visit efsurvivors.net to sign our letter, because next time it could be your family, depending on that payout. That concludes our program in English. Next, for a few minutes, we'll have Mark Mariscal come up and say a few words in Spanish. Following that, all 8 survivors, Carmen and I, are available for interviews. I'd also like to introduce Sierra Cos, who is with founder and executive director of Extreme Weather Survivors, who has experience with State Farm claims in other parts of the country. She'd be happy to answer questions. We also have the retired insurance executive here to provide off-the-record interviews. If you would like to speak with him, contact me and I'll put you in touch with him. Before we move to Mark and the Spanish words, are there any questions that you'd like to have?
I have 3. I have
okay,
3 questions.
Yes.
I am so sorry, but I have 3 questions.
No.
The number 1, you guys are asking for a formal investigation on farmers. If there's a particular entity that you can file a criminal investigation because of their actions?
We're asking, the question is what we're asking for as far as the investigation. We're calling on Commissioner Lara to initiate a market conduct examination, which is what they call these examinations within the Department of Insurance. So we're asking for.
But the question is farmer acting with, you need a criminal investigation, no?
It's not a criminal investigation.
No, it is not. Okay, yeah. Perfect. The second, how you guys are going to stop the raise that they are asking for, the 37% or the 27%? How are you going to stop it?
Oh, it's not in our power to stop the rate hike. It is in Commissioner Lara's power to do that. He is the head of the California Department of Insurance. And so it's completely up to him. And we call on him to say no until State Farm shows it will fulfill its contractual obligations to California families.
Okay, and the third question is, the Board of Supervisors said many times that no one will be abandoned. And are you going to force them to give a response to all these people? Okay, now, what are you going to do with the Board of Supervisors? Because they said specifically, we're not going to abandon any single homeowner. And the reality here is totally different.
We've been abandoned.
Sorry, Joy. Like to come on up, Shauna. Why don't you come up and answer that?
It's really not the topic of today's conversation, so we'll keep it light. But to your point of the county saying that no one would be abandoned, many of our questions remain unanswered by the county about how we even got here in the first place. They are not stepping in on this issue either, just like they will not step in. And speaking about SCE, they have filed their own lawsuit against SCE, but won't actually answer their constituents about how this was allowed to happen in the first place. So just to answer your question, yes, we have been abandoned. No, the county does not have our back.
Thank you.
Any other questions before we move on to Spanish and stand-ups? Okay, Mark?
Mark Mariscal, M-A-R-K, M-A-R-I-S-C-A-L. Nada más quiero decir unas palabras que estamos aquí enfrente ahorita de la oficina del State Farm. Es que como todos que tenían seguranza el 6 y 7 de enero, hasta ahorita que estamos celebrando la palabra mala posible, pero estamos celebrando 100 días después del fuego y todo. Nada más de la cuenta de nosotros, la familia Mariscal. Estamos allá en la casa por 35 años, perdimos todo, quemó todo y ahora estamos hablando, no luchando, pero estamos hablando con State Farm, con el adjuster que tenemos, nada más de las cosas ahorita nada más hoy, hace una media hora, recibí como sus papeles del estimate que dice para reconstruir la casa. Era como $600,000 más o menos, 650,000. Nosotros tenemos una casa de 2,000 cuadrados, ¿verdad? Pies. Y la cosa es, pensamos ahorita que va a costar más del $1 millón de dólares. So, la cosa es cómo vamos a encontrar la diferencia y todo esto. Pero dijo el adjuster, porque hablé con él en la mañana, dijo de que cuando recibe sus papeles, entonces puede hablar con unos contractors, todo que van a reconstruir la casa. Y si dice que es posible que necesita más dinero, entonces tiene los otros fondos porque tenemos las líneas, ¿verdad? Se llama Dwelling A, Dwelling B, Dwelling C. Y depende de cómo pone todos los gastos, es posible que podemos recibir más, ¿verdad? Pero ahora no sabemos. So, como estaba diciendo la gente antes, no sabemos si cuando seguimos en los 3 meses o los 6 meses o un año, si tenemos bastante dinero, nada más de los impuestos como del contrato que tenemos para reconstruir la casa. So, ese es parte del problema que no solamente la familia Mariscal tiene, pero todas las familias aquí en Altadena. Como dije, tenemos 35 años aquí viviendo, nada más 4 años con State Farm. Pero mire, tenemos que trabajar juntos. Y si hay otras preguntas,
usted, señor.
Yes.
¿Siente usted que Farmers nos ha
State Farm se llama.
State Farm los ha traicionado a ustedes y los políticos los han traicionado a ustedes, específicamente a los hispanos?
Bueno, los políticos, miren, nosotros estamos diciendo de que la aseguranza que paga la gente, ¿verdad? Cuando paga todos cada año, es muy diferente de como la diferencia que necesita del dinero de que va a recibir de su compañía de aseguranza, y es posible aparte de que podemos recibir del condado, del estado, del federal y todo esto. Pero como los políticos, nada más en la opinión mía, ¿verdad? Yo creo que están tratando de hacer lo que pueda. Pero mire, esa es una lucha muy grande. Y tenemos 6,018 casas que se quemaron, ¿verdad? 18 en Sierra Madre, ya 650 allá en Pasadena y 5,840 más o menos aquí en Altadena. Esa es parte del condado, no es la ciudad, ¿verdad? So, tenemos nada más la supervisora, a Kattenberger, que nos está tratando de ayudarnos, pero mire, está muy grande lo que está pasando en Altadena, y State Farm has what, 2,000 policies out of the Altadena fires? Or what's the number?
They have 20%.
So tiene como del estado. So, no sé cuántos tienen State Farm, pero la cosa es la más grande, ¿verdad? Por eso estamos aquí hoy, para decirle que aquí estamos.
Thank you so much, Mark, for providing that in Spanish. So that concludes our program today. I want to thank every one of you for shining a spotlight on State Farm's actions as well as Commissioner Lara's actions. At this point, I do want to quickly introduce the 4 other survivors who are here to share their very powerful stories. We have Elisa Nixon here. We have Andrew Wessels here, and who else we have? We have Gail Jaments and Nat Gabor. Okay, so all 8 of us are here for On the Records, along with Carmen, Sierra, and if you'd like to speak with our retired insurance adjuster, retired insurance executive, let me know. Thank you all. That concludes our program.
Thank you.
Yes, good picture.
Oh, yes, please. Thank you. I've got like 2 going.